incredible. But Dr. Haywood introduced me to a lady after the service, Dr. Hattie Washington. He said, Doc, you need to have her. This lady is powerful. And I was like, really? Well, first of all, Dr. Haywood Robinson he's kind of like my wife, Nadia, my ABCD, adorable brown caramel delight. She chooses her words very carefully. And so when he makes a recommendation, which he rarely does, it's one you better take. So Dr. Haywood Robinson, by the way, said, Dr. Hattie Washington is just so powerful. And she gave me a copy of her book, Driven to Succeed. I was like, oh, my goodness. On the front cover, there's a picture of her with one of the presidents of the United States and some other powerful people. But I started researching her, and I was like, wow. And then Dr. Haywood wrote this about her in her book. He said, we know that God causes all things to work together for good to those who love God, according to Romans 8:28. Hattie's incredible story is powerful and contemporary illustration of this timeless truth. And as you read it, don't be surprised when you find yourself rejoicing over the many divine interventions that have shaped your own journey. Everyone can use a faith lift, so get started reading and sharing this inspirational story. Dr. Haywood A. Robinson III, pastor, People's Community Baptist Church in Silver Spring, Maryland. She's also the author of Aunt Hattie's Cookbook. I mean, this woman, she's so powerful, so powerful. So I wanted you to be able to hear her. And I can already tell you now, we're going to have to bring her back because the time that she has is just not going to suffice. And so I want Dr. Haywood Robinson just to say a quick word, and then we'll none other than the illustrious Dr. Hattie Washington. Dr. Haywood.
Well, good morning, Coach, and good morning, Dr. Breakthrough, and to all of the Uplift family. We give honor to God. Thank you for those generous words, Dr. Breakthrough. We do have quite a leader on the call this morning. I encourage you to give her your full attention. I've had the privilege to serve as her pastor for nearly 23 years between our Baltimore ministry and the Silver Spring ministry. And her model of leadership is absolutely incredible. She has demonstrated it from transforming the lives of children to transforming the lives of college students and faculty and presidents. She just is driven. I think the title of her book speaks about her heart. She's driven to succeed, driven to see others succeed, and that their success would bring honor and glory to God. So I'm excited that she is sharing today, and I believe you will share that excitement once her time has ended today. So, Dr. Hattie, looking forward to what you have to say. Thank you, Dr. Breakthrough, for trusting us in introducing her to you.
Well, thank you, my brother. My wife and I, we say we're a covenant couple, building covenant relationships based on the covenant of promise, and we aspire to inspire breakthroughs even after we've expired. And Dr. Haywood and his wonderful, beautiful wife, Renee, which, by the way, when I went to preach for him, she's like, thank you for telling my husband about these hydration drops. She said, guess what I got in my pocketbook right now? I was like, I don't know. She said, the hydration drops. She said, I don't go anywhere without them. I'm feeling good. I'm losing weight. She said, oh, my goodness, my skin is feeling good. And she said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I said, well, it's my pleasure, So Dr. Hattie Washington, when I put on the phone with Coach 100K, he was blown away. So the next voice you're going to hear is of this powerful woman of God. This book, Driven to Succeed, everybody, you deserve to get a copy, talks about faith, family, and favor. Dr. Hattie Washington, take it away, my sister.
Praise God. I just thank God for this opportunity. And I also thank God for my pastor and his wife, Renee, because out of all the things I've been able to do with my gifts and talents, you don't forget from which you come. And ever since I've known them, they have just been like super parents to me, not only my pastor and my pastor's wife, but also mentors and friends, not only for myself, but my daughter as well, because my daughter went to that church first, and I met them through my daughter. So I just praise God for having them in my life and all of the missions and causes and the different positions I've had in life, particularly since I've met them, have just been flourishing, and God has touched those positions so that you can help other persons. And as we talk about leadership, out of the different positions, there are the assistant superintendent of schools for Baltimore City Schools, or vice president of Coppin State University, the first female vice president in the whole history of the university. And I look back on my position, even as a teacher of special education kids for years, and you reflect on what is a leader and what are the traits and the characteristics and the attributes of a leader, and what I have pulled together in terms of how and why the Lord has helped me to do every job I've had to surpass the fundraising goal that I was given of $3 million. We raised $8 million. Baltimore City was in a consent decree by the federal government because we weren't serving special education kids. Not only did we get out of the consent decree, but those special education kids were reduced in the special ed class and were put in the regular classroom and off of all of that medication. And you look at what we did. First of all, as a leader, you got to first decide, why are you a leader? Why were you put in that position? If you are a child of God, you want to know why did the Lord give you that position. And you may not know right away, but you got to search for the why, because God has work for you to do. If you go into a leadership position and you don't know what the Lord wants you to do in that position, then you may do your own thing. And that's not why God put you there. You got to know, who are your leaders? Who are your clients? Are you a leader of buildings and stuff and things, or are you a leader of people? And it takes a different type of leader when you know you're a leader of people and you're trying to change people. Then are you a change leader, or are you a transformational leader? Are you a static leader? Meaning that you're in that position, and anything that you're going to accomplish, you're going to tread water and keep everything status quo. And a good leader is transformational. A good leader is a change leader. Give you an example. When I went in to become the vice president of Coppin State University, the first female, and I was in charge of raising money, which is a productivity leader. You just can't stay in a job every day, and then at the end of the day, you're not accountable, and you don't have a product. So I had to raise money. So you have to turn around and think, okay, the people that I have, that I've given, am I going to do this job by myself? I have a staff of 18. So what do you have to do to make a change and make your job to become productive and accountable? So in a change, transformational type of leadership, first of all, you got to know what to expect. If I'm going to raise money, I first have to upset the apple cart, because most of the people weren't making any money. They were having, instead of fundraising, F-U-N-D, they were F-U-N, having fun, doing stuff, painting the fingernails and talking on the phone, and people coming into the office having conversation and chat. So I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I've got to make some change. So I had to know then what were the results. So the first step of making change is storming. The first level of change. You got to anticipate there's going to be a lot of chaos and storming. It's like when you take a new job, a new leadership, a new pastorship, people are going to just absolutely give you a hard time. So you got to anticipate the first level of storming. It's upsetting. People are just going to try to make sure you don't stay, and you're not going to be able to do your job. And if you don't anticipate, you will give up right there. Look at President Obama, how much storm they gave him. Then you first got to weather the storm, be like an eagle. When the eagle flies above the clouds, the eagle doesn't stay down with the other birds, doesn't stay below the clouds. They go above the clouds, where they can have a vision, a global vision of your whole organization, your whole church, your whole school system, your whole university. And then you can see clearer in terms of the vastness of what you need to do. Then the next level is norming. After the storming for so long, and people know you mean business, and those certain characteristics of leadership I'll talk about in a minute, then they start norming. They know your goal is to raise $8 million. They know you're going to do it. And then you can either change people or you change people. Now, when I say that, I mean, I'm going to give you my vision, give you God's vision, and this is where we're going to go. Tell me how you're going to help us to get there. And if you're not going to help us to get there, then get out of the way. You know, you move, help, or get out of the way. There's another expression. But anyway, you help them to norm. Then after the next norming, then you performing. You have storming, norming, and performing. And then they start helping to raise money. They help with the school system. They help with the church. They help with it because now they understand your mission, your passion, your enthusiasm, and that you're there for God's purpose. And therefore, you're going to start performing. So those are the levels of leadership that I've gone through, and regardless of what the position is, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a parent, whether it is just a parishioner, you still playing a role in leadership in some way or another. So with those characteristics of anything, you need to make sure that we are on target. But when I said you change people, or you change people, if you have some people that are entrenched attitude, they just determined they're not going to do anything, they're not going to be anything, they don't want to be anything, don't want you to tell them anything. There's too much effort to stay with them right now. You just kind of move them to the side and get another person who is ready with a good attitude, wants to learn, and you change those people to the mission that God has set for you. Then other people you may have to just change. You have to redeploy, rededicate, and sometimes you have to, I don't word use discard. I tell my staff, when a piece of paper comes into my office, I don't want to handle it twice. And if 3 times is too many times. You do it now, you discard it, or you delegate it to someone else, or you decide if this is part of your organization, the junk mail. So you make those decisions. I only want to handle a piece of memo twice. And if I have to proof it 3 or 4 times, then the person's not doing their job. And if you can't train them, then you kind of let them do something else. That may not be their strength. So you change people or you change people. And you can redeploy people because many people are in the wrong position in the church. Some people are talkers on the phone and they talk all day, and then some people are doers. So you got to know the right mix. I have a little test that I give my staff that I made up myself. And if they do the test, I put them in a slice of the pie. Some people are listeners. Some people are doers. Some people are more global. Then some people are just don't want to do anything and don't want you to tell them anything. So you put them in that category to decide what you're going to do with them. But in terms of leadership, I teach my foster boys at a Hattie's place. If you bring me a problem, give me a suggested solution. And on my staff. If you come and say, Hattie, we out of milk, or Hattie, we don't have this, or Dr. Washington, we out of paper, I just look at them silently so that they know I'm waiting for the answer. What do you recommend? If I'm training leaders, which all good leaders should be doing, you're training your replacement. You're not just a leader for yourself. You're a leader where you are creating other leaders. So part of that is, if you give me a problem, give me a recommended solution. And I may say, that's a good idea. Let's go do it. But if you wait for me to answer all the questions, solve all the problems, then I'm not training my leaders. So therefore, you need to force people to give you answers. And most people can. But at the same time, if you just give all the answers, some people like that. They want to be the only person who knows everything. They don't want anybody else to know anything. So when they retire or get sick or whatever, nobody knows anything but that person. One of my techniques that I'm writing in my book is called triangulation. There are 3 people to know at least everything about every job that needs to be done. One is the lead, they're the point of the triangle. The other 2 are the base. Then you turn that triangle on the side and let one of the base people now be the lead for a day, a month, or whatever. And give them a chance to learn the whole organization. Then you turn it over again, let the other lead. But the person you are training to be the leader, you train that person to train the other two persons. And then you praise the leader when the two side-based people do an excellent job. You say, wow, good choice. You're a great leader. I like your triad. But if you never provide that orchestration of that skill, then you have a bunch of people waiting for the leader to tell them everything to do. And when you're not there, everything falls apart. But you got to say, you all did a better job when I was not here than when I'm here. And give them that praise. So when you are ever out, they work their little fingers to the bone to praise you so that when you come back, you know that they are on target because you've taught them to have self-respect and how to respect each other as a colleague. And see, all of that is part of being a divine leader because you want to help other people to rise to the occasion where you are. And just quickly, I don't know how my time is going, but I'm going to take the word leadership. And this is what my pastor always teach us. When he's preaching, he gives us a lesson. When you leave church on that Sunday, you can feast on his visual lessons that he does for all of us. And, excuse me, and in the realm of my pastor, the word leadership, and some of my traits that God has given me over the years is L is for love. First, you got to love life. You got to love why God put you on this earth. And then you got to love learning. As a leader, you can't be stagnant. You got to know what is the next innovative thing. Where is the church going? Where is the school going? Where's the university going? You got to love learning so that you can keep on toes as a leader. And then you got to strive for excellence. Mediocrity has no place as a leader, regardless of what you're leading, what are you doing, whatever your position is as a leader. And even if you're not an appointed leader, you can be a self-appointed leader because you want to rise to the occasion of your mentor. Whatever their traits are, you got to be excellent in it, so you strive for excellence right away. You got to be attentive to everything that's going on. You can't be asleep at the wheel as a leader. You may not say anything, but I guarantee you, you know everything that's going on. And many leaders are leaders by following. They are leaders by looking around, walking around, and many times you're a leader by following. And you're not really following, but you have to be humble in order to be a good leader. So you got to be attentive. The D in leadership is you got to be dedicated, you got to be a decision maker, and you got to be devoted to whatever the cause and position is. And E is for enthuse. You got to have enthusiasm. If you are a lackadaisical, low energy level type of leader, how do you expect you're going to lead someone else? You got to show some enthusiasm. I don't mean you got to jump up and down and be shouting and be hyperactive and all that sort of thing. But you got to show enthusiasm for whatever you are leading. Otherwise, people are not going to take you seriously. And you got to be resourceful. As a leader, if you don't have it, you got to know where to go and get it. And when I used to be fundraisers, I would point different people to a table. All of my board members want to have this place. And say everybody's going to get a table. Now, you can give it or get it. So we want each member to have a table at the gala or what have you. So if you don't want to buy the whole table, then you know you're going to give it or you're going to get 10 people to buy a ticket for you. So be resourceful and be respectful of all of your employees or your staff or your colleagues. In leadership, you got to see success before it happens. You got to visualize where God wants you to go with this position. And you don't wait to be successful. Like Tiger Woods the other day, he saw that end. You got to see the end in mind. Otherwise, why are you going to start running or play basketball or get to be a pastor of a church if you can't see that God put you there for a reason? So you got to see success. H in leadership is honesty. honesty and humble. And I don't need to say much about honesty. Because once you don't tell the truth and everything you say, just, okay, that's another alternative truth. So you got to be honest. You got to be humble about everything that you achieve in life. You can't just think you did it on your own. You got to be humble, but at the same time, you know God has work for you to do. But you're not arrogant, but you're still humble because you know you're in God's divine grace and you are doing his work. I is for integrity. And that says it all. Everything you do, your name is your bond. Any place you go, they use the name Haywood Robinson, or Dr. Stanley Harris, or Dr. Hattie Washington. I want my name to be what God intended for it to be. And hopefully you always leave bridges that you can always go back over that bridge when somebody will see you and want to be a part of it. And I was telling someone the other day, I drove on Coppins campus for a meeting, and there were no parking spaces. So I didn't want to park illegally, so I called parking, and the parking attendant said, "Oh, Dr. Washington, you can park anywhere you want." I said, "No, I don't want to do that." She said, "Well, look, you can park on the grass if you want to. Everybody knows your car." And I said, "No, but I just wanted you to know that I have a meeting I'm running late for." And so they said, "Leave your car right there. We'll come and get it. And we'll park it for you. When you get ready to leave, call us, and we'll bring your car to you." Now I said to myself, tell the Lord works. You never know. I'm no longer at Compton State. I'm no longer the vice president. So if they do things for you because of your position, then when you leave, then you're nobody. But I said how the Lord works when you build those bridges, regardless of whenever I go back in the school system, people just, when they know I'm in the building, "Oh, Dr. Washington's here, Dr. Washington's here." And I said, that's the Lord letting your light shine. So wherever you are, you touch people, and they know that you're helping to bring the next person on board. And then the P in leadership is to be purposeful, prayerful, and to praise God for everything you've gotten in life. And don't think you did it all by yourself. Don't think you are Mr. It, that you did it all by yourself. So you got to always thank God for where you are. I came from the country, and my book talks about being reared in the country. And somebody, this is when I got my doctorate. My cousin, he keeps it real. I just came from Virginia Beach to see him. He said, "Don't think we're going to call you Dr. Washington." He said, "We're going to call you Dr. Sister," because my nickname was Sister when I was growing up. So to me, he keeps it real. Because, it's like, we're so proud of you, you're first in the family to go to college, et cetera. He said, but when you come around our house, it's going to be Dr. Sister. I said, don't leave the doctor off, just call me Sister, just like you used to do. So, but anyway, that's where we are with leadership. And regardless to what position, how level you are and how high the position is, if you are a leader, the leadership comes out, and if you aspire to be a leader all the way up to the White House or all the way to a leader of a janitorial service, it's how you treat the other people going up the ladder. Because one day you may have to come back down that ladder. And so true leaders pull other people up that ladder. You're just not up there by yourself and everybody down at the bottom of the ladder. You have everybody at different levels on that ladder. So that if you have to go on to the next ladder, then you got somebody right behind you taking your place so that the organization, the process, can continue moving smoothly without one person leaving a hole in the chain, and then the whole building, the whole organization, the whole church falls apart because the leader is no longer there. We didn't train so many people to take over. What's one thing I like about my pastor? He doesn't try to do it all. He would let somebody pray, let somebody read the scripture, let somebody preach on a Sunday, let somebody do this. Just like when you came, Reverend Harris, for him to give the pulpit to you, he is training other people to be leaders. And those are some of the characteristics and traits of a leader. And his wife, believe it or not, is a leader by herself. Pastor knows when Renee is leading and happy. Most good men, happy men, successful men, no, not behind them is the female, is right beside them, if not a tad front. of them, as Obama said when he went to Michelle's book signing. He said, I just want to say that if it weren't for this lady, I wouldn't even be president. He said, and she's smarter than me, and I don't mind saying it. And so, but, that's always the strong, confident, and competent leader that we have in many of our men and in our females. So I'm going to stop here because, I could go on and on in terms of what God has in store for people who are leaders of God and doing God's work, not who they are, but whose leader they are, why they are a leader, and what they're leading. You're leading people. That makes a difference.
Dr. Hattie, God just showed up and showed off through you. This is incredible. It's powerful, folks. And I'm going to tell you the truth. It's just the tip of the iceberg. When you get her book, Driven to Succeed, and you start reading it, as a matter of fact, we only have one copy, and my wife keeps fighting, no, baby, let me have it. It's my turn. But this book, Doc, it's lessons learned through faith, family, and favor. Everybody. Matter of fact, check out the website, DRH, as in Hattie, N, as in Nancy, Washington.com. Dr.
Yes.
DrHNWashington.com. And folks, I'm telling you, the book Driven to Succeed, she didn't get on a cookbook. There's so many things she does. And so, Doc, you're smart. You're brilliant, because what you did is you made sure you was going to get invited back. That's what you did. I knew what you was doing.
But it's got a whole different level of leadership about the storming and the norming and performing. Each of those are different techniques. And I have other techniques like 3x3x3, techniques that I use in teaching kids teach teachers how to be a leader in your own classroom, because many students are taking over. So I teach teachers my 3x3x3. I have another technique called Operation FAST, fun activities to stimulate thinking, in the classroom, in your organization, et cetera, et cetera. So those are many things I'm writing. In the next book I'm writing, believe it or not, I'm writing a book on leadership, whether you're a teacher leader, whether you're an academic leader, or whether you're leader of a corporation. There's certain characteristics, and I tell teachers how to pull out those characteristics to teach any kid in your classroom. No kid should have a behavior that you can't curb, or you can't work with that behavior. And all that's part of teaching and being a leader in your own classroom. How are you going to teach if you can't control your classroom? How are you going to lead if you can't control your staff who's stealing from you and don't respect you? And I teach them how to have their staff and all the employees and all the colleagues to respect them, et cetera. So God has that in the works as well.
Wow. I tell you, folks, you're going to need to get this replay. I'm going to have Coach send the replay out, and I'm going to tell you something. It was great, but there's an injustice, and that is there was so much impactful information given in such a short period of time. Your brain is not going to retain it all. So you've got to hear the replay over and over and over again. And I guarantee you, the next time you hear it, you're going to say, wait a minute, I didn't hear that one. And the next time you hear it, because I'm telling you, this is so powerful, so practical, and so poignant. And again, I'm telling you, it's incredible. It's incredible what God is doing today. And so, Dr. Washington, thank you again for coming. Thank you for sharing. And we're going to reschedule like ASAP. And Coach 100K, this lady has blessed us today. Has she not? Has she not allowed God to use her? And folks, I'm telling you, go to the website, get the book, and anytime you hear anything about this lady, become part of it.